Hello, and welcome back to Play of the Game, the limited podcast where we actually play the games. So,
Ooh, tagline.
we got a new tagline. We are back from the Pro Tour testing house, as you can see, and done with the Pro Tour, but still putting out some Lorwyn Eclipse limited content. Given that there is a spotlight in Toronto this weekend, this episode is going to be coming out after that, but it'll still be the format for the next. I don't know, when does the turtle set come out? In a month or so.
3 weeks? I
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh. Yeah, I don't know if we'll even play that. Maybe it'll be a Spider-Man situation. We'll see. But yeah, just to remind everyone how this podcast works, if it's your first time listening, we break down one single gameplay decision each episode, and we are going to link out in the description to, normally it's a 17 lands link, but this time we have a slightly different situation. We're going to be linking to just an image in Google Drive. Jason, can you explain what is going on in this gameplay situation and the circumstances that led to it?
Yeah, so the reason why there is no 17 lands gameplay, game replay log for this game is because this is a game that happened at the Pro Tour. No 17 lands for that. And I have recreated it to the best of my ability. It's possible I got a couple unimportant details wrong, but I tried to recreate the exact situation in Cockatrice. So we are in the middle-ish of the game. It's I think it's turn 6 or something like that. I am at 16 on a green black elves deck. Also, I guess for some context, this is round 2 of the Pro Tour. So day 1 draft, second round. Both me and my opponent are 1-0. And this is game 2, so I will also have things to say about what I had seen out of my opponent's deck in game 1, which went very long and to the point of me almost decking but killing my opponent with 0 cards in my library. I'll tell that
Fun.
story afterwards. But so on my side of the battlefield, I have 6 lands in play, 3 swamps and 3 forests, as well as 3 creatures in play. One of them is a Chitinous Graspling, the 3/4 changeling with reach, but it has a Blossom Bind attached to it. My opponent, the last turn cycle, Blossom Binded my Graspling, and attacked with some stuff. I also have a 2/1 Eclipsed Elf. It's a 2/1 because it has a -1/-1 counter on it. I believe I blighted onto it with a Bog Slither's Embrace. I forget what that Embrace exiled, but suffice it to say, it's a 2/1 now. I attacked with it the previous turn, that is why it is tapped. I also have a 3/3 Menace Dawnhand Eulogist that I played this turn. On my turn cycle, the thing that I did was I played my Dawnhand Eulogist, tapping 4 of my 6 mana. It milled 3 cards, including this Scarblade Scout that is now the only creature card in my graveyard. Drained my opponent for 2. The rest of my graveyard is not important. It's lands, the Bog Slither's Embrace. There's no other creatures is the important part. My opponent, on the other hand, has 4 creatures in play, and 5 lands. They're a blue-red deck. They just played a Stratosaur, tapping all 5 of their lands, giving their Flaring Cinder flying, but notably not discarding to the Flaring Cinder. So Flaring Cinder, that's the 3/2 that lets you rummage when it enters or when you cast a mana value 4 or greater spell. In this case, they cast their Stratosaur but chose not to rummage, so their hand is probably pretty good. Or has 2 their hand of 2 cards, to be clear. They only have 2 cards in hand. They probably want access to both of those. Maybe they're just both spells. Their board, the rest of their board includes 3 other creatures that are attacking me. This is a question about what I am doing in the combat step. So there's the aforementioned Flaring Cinder, which now has flying. Notably, I cannot block that with my Eulogist. They also have the rare Sig, which notably is a 2/2 unblockable, which I also can't block. They don't have any white mana in play. They didn't show me any white mana in game 1, except maybe something that makes a treasure, possibly. So it's unlikely the Sig will ever flip. So it's mostly right now just a 2/2 unblockable. And finally, they have a 3/4 Chitinous Graspling also attacking. Now, I'm at 16 and they're at 14. So if I just don't block anything, I'll take 8 and go down to 8. And theoretically, they're threatening a similar amount of damage next turn. That might be scary. However, I do have some options in hand for how I could choose to deal with this situation. So I have 2 mana untapped, and I have 4 cards in hand. Those 4 cards include 1 land, questionably relevant as the 7th land, but maybe a little bit. 1 copy of Unbury, that's the one in the black instant that raises dead either 1 or 2 creatures. If it's 2 creatures, they have to share a type. Notably, this is why I pointed out there's only 1 creature in my graveyard right now, the Scarblade Scout, 2/2 lifelink elf. Importantly, I have a Prisma Basher, which would be enabled for X equals 3 right now, because I have the Chitness Graspling and a couple of black permanents. And importantly, I have a Mischievous Sneakling as well. That's the blue-black hybrid 2/2 for 2 flash. So, in this combat, my opponent tapped out. They should play their 3/5 and like attacked. So like I know this is basically what they're gonna do for their turn, right? That they're attacking me for 8. They've taken all the actions that they're going to take. I need to figure out how to respond to those actions, and I'm probably going to cast the Sneakling, right? Like this Unbury doesn't have. Like I probably don't want to just like be casting this Unbury targeting just Scarblade Scout instead of casting my 2/2. And the real big question here is, how do I block, if at all? And the 2 obvious answers are don't block or flash in the 2/2 and double block the 3/4. And that is what this question hinges upon.
There are a couple more things to consider, or like to process, a couple more options, right? We could technically chump the 3/4 and then Unbury, getting back 2 elves. That probably isn't good enough, just because it takes away so much of our board presence and makes our Prisma Basher worse, given that we won't have 2 creatures out to get pumped.
It would be a pretty weird play. We could also flash in the 2/2 and chump with that.
We could.
That would also be somewhat of a weird play.
Yeah, although it would at least leave us 2 creatures, and we could have the Unbury cast later. We could still get in with the Prisma Basher. But really, I think if you're kind of grasping the situation with like the reasonable options, it is basically between no blocks and flash in 2/2 double block. So
and of course, no blocks would involve us flashing the 2/2 at end of turn, probably.
Right, of course. Yeah.
One thing I should address, just for anyone looking at the image and wondering why, if you're familiar with Cockatrice, you might see that the decks claim to have only 1 and 2 cards left in them. Don't
Ignore
pay any
that.
attention to that. That's just
they have a very normal number of cards in them for a limited game. Don't ask further.
yeah. No one's like close to milling out or anything.
Don't worry, very normal game. No nothing to pay attention to here. Okay, so I think really the relevant thing to do here is to play out the clock math and the combat math. So we're at 16. We are currently being attacked for 8. The opponent has 4 creatures on board to our, technically 3, but really 2, plus a third that we're going to flash in. So we are behind in terms of number of creatures on board. If we take this full hit, we are also going to be behind in life, except for the fact that we get in a very large Prisma Basher attack next turn. So we would take 8, we would fall to 8, and then we would untap. We would flash the 2/2 and end of turn. We would untap. We would cast Prisma Basher. We would be able to pump each of our 3 creatures +3/+3, and we would be able to attack. Let's say we attack with all 3 of them. That's a 6/6 menace coming in. That's going to deal them 6. We have a 5/4 Eclipsed Elf coming in. That could be chumped by the Stratosaur, but that doesn't really do very much. It's not a very good play, so that might be another 5 represented. And then we also have a 5/5 Mischievous Sneakling, kind of same thing. So they actually are forced to chump with their Stratosaur, right, to not die.
Yeah, so that's the first immediate thing that you need to process about this situation is, if we're not blocking and we're trying to push damage, what's the most damage we can push? Well, we can play our Prisma Basher, and then have 16 power of attackers. They're at 14, they have to chump. And they would go to 3 after chumping with their Stratosaur. No matter which creature they chump, it's still them going to 3, we don't lose any creatures.
And so I would say notably, I would say kind of the second order of things that you want to process there is that we are, in a way, forced to attack with all 3 if we want to force that chump. And so
Yes.
we don't have like additional flexibility to be a little bit more defensive, because if we, make that attack, the only way that we're actually taking their like 3/5 attacker off of the board is by attacking with everything and only leaving back our Prisma Basher. So even though that is a very profitable play, it's sort of like the best defense is a good offense kind of thing. You're getting their best attacker out of the way by threatening lethal. Um, we don't have an in-between option there. We're very much declaring like this game is going to end in a couple of combat cycles, and here is the situation. Your actions are forced, and then I basically have very little flexibility when it comes to your turn. You're going to get to do what you want to do. So what could they do to us with their 2 cards in hand that they've elected to keep and not discard?
Well, so okay, we're exploring the line where we, don't block, flash in our 2/2, and then Prisma Basher smack them, right?
Yep.
In that case, we only have one Prisma Basher untapped, nothing else, and they notably have 8 power of creatures on board. The same 8 power of creatures that just attacked us, and like we took down to 8. So if they have a removal spell, we would die. If they have
Or
a
just a
removal
bounce
for our
spell.
stand.
Anything that gets the 6/6 out of the way for a single combat. A tap spell.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, anything that gets the 6/6 out of the way kills us. Okay, I will say theoretically, and this is getting a little too like information that outside of this exact moment, which is very important to think about. Theoretically, we could draw one of blossoming defense, which would make that play more palatable.
That is true.
There is one blossoming defense in our deck, which we
Well,
would be able to.
Jason,
hold
we
up
only have 2 cards in our deck. It's a 50-50 chance that we draw it. Sorry.
Not quite, not quite. Yeah.
So that's possible. But basically, taking the line of untap, don't block with anything, cast Prisma Basher, slam, is leaving ourselves open to being dead to a single removal spell without many options for playing around that, really. We're kind of committing ourselves to this very aggressive line as soon as we declare no blocks in this combat, pretty much.
Yeah, but I will say, as a strong point towards that, towards the line, like a strong benefit of the line, it's not like we're leaving ourselves dead to removal for no benefit, right?
Right.
They'll be at 3, and we will have a 3/3 menace and a 6/6 trample, assuming they have no
Yes.
way to, get the 6/6 trample out of the way.
So
like,
we are giving them a very real chance to win the game very quickly, but we are also giving ourselves a very real chance to win the game very quickly. And I think a lot of the times when you're faced with that kind of decision, the question then becomes, right, are we winning this game in the long run or are we not? If we're not, maybe it's good to force a quick resolution that we kind of have a high variance chance at winning. Yeah.
I think an important question to ask yourself is, can we do better? Right? Like, and the answer sometimes is yes, and sometimes is no. And like, it's all about evaluating that. That's what the situation is about.
So yeah, let's talk about then kind of the other half of the worlds that we could be living in, right? Depending on the decision we make this turn. What happens if we say flash 2/2 in, double block, kind of declare that like we're at least intending to prolong the game for more than the next couple turns of combat? What does it look like then?
Well, then they will almost certainly kill our 3/3, right? Trade their 3/4 for our 3/3. We'll have our board that will be left will be a 2/2 and a 2/1. We're gonna take 5 damage, falling to 11. And they will have their 3/5 flyer, their 2/2 unblockable, and their flaring cinder left on board. When we go to our turn, we could still cast Prisma Basher. And turn our two power creatures both into 5 power creatures.
It still pumps for
attack them
3,
aggressively.
yeah, which is very relevant. Even though we're only pumping 2 creatures, that we're still getting 3 power, which gets them past the 3/5.
Yeah. So we could theoretically like play our Prisma Basher, attack them for 10, and they'll have whatever cards they have in hand left, as well as their 5 unblockable, because like we don't have any reach or flying, so I'm counting their 3/5 flyer and their 2/2 unblockable both as like unblockable damage that they can send at us. They'll have 5 unblockable damage kind of, as well as this flaring cinder that can play in combat. And question is like, is that better? We can also think about lines where instead of playing Prisma Basher, we delay a turn and like unbury our 2 creatures and recast our 3/3, get another drain for 2 in probably. Um,
That is
uh,
somewhat promising in the sense that like our taking 5 versus taking 8 is a really meaningful difference in terms of their clock, right? Like if we leave them with 5 power unblockable, roughly because they have the 3/5 flyer and the 2/2 unblockable, but we're at 11, that's actually a meaningful amount of turns, especially if we give ourselves a little bit of life buffer with the Eulogist. And whenever we're casting the Prisma Basher, we can maybe, and this is kind of a question, can we round to we're dealing a lot of damage that turn? Is that how the math is actually going to work out? Hard to say, but like reasonable to guess that whatever the Prisma Basher turn is, we're getting in for a lot, or at the very least forcing chumps with the damage that we're putting out. So we could delay that for a turn and like develop a Menacer to make that turn more difficult, get the drain in, which seems valuable in terms of the like race that's happening here. We have a lot more options if we double block, is kind of where I'm coming to.
mhm.
But it does come back to the question, right? Like, yeah, we're going to prolong the game and give ourselves more options, but do we actually are we doing better by taking this line, by giving ourselves these more options? Are these options that we're giving ourselves better than the option to end the game very quickly? Are we actually favored if the game goes on? So, like, it's pretty notable in this case that they kept their 2 cards in hand. They chose to not discard off of their Flaring Cinder's ability. Do we have a read? Do we see many cards in their deck in game 1? Do we have it sounds like we did see a lot of the cards in their deck.
Well,
Have we
like
been
I
able to
said,
read much more about what's gone on this game, like what the shape of their hand could actually look like, or is it just 2 spells?
Well, okay, so I can't say too much about like reading what exactly has gone on in this game. So, I can say a little about the last couple current turn cycles. Obviously, there was this like Stratosaur attack. The turn before that, they like, what they did was, I like passed with my Chitness Graspling and like a 2/1 untapped as blockers, and then they went Blossom Bind your Graspling, play Sig, target my 3/4, and then attack with 3/4, and I chose not to chump. I chose just to take 3, let them draw their card. And so they left back their Flaring Cinder and then didn't block with their Flaring Cinder when I attacked them back with my 2/1. So that is the state of the like last couple turn cycles. I would not say there's anything like that you could read super much into that. Like
None of those
them using
decisions really
Blossom Bind
signal
on my
that they value things more than the things should be valued face up on board, basically.
yeah, like given that they had Sig and Blossom Bind in their hand, it seems pretty reasonable that like they would want to Blossom Bind my 3/4 and get in a hit with like Sig on their 3/4. Like my 3/4 was going to be an annoying blocker for them. They were getting a card by doing so. That all seems like pretty normal gameplay. They didn't want to trade their Flaring Cinder for my 2/1. Makes sense with a Stratosaur in hand, I will say. Like it helps swing the race. Like I attack. The reason why I attacked was because like the trade would be really good for me because of my Eulogist. I wanted to like guarantee, like see if they would let me guarantee it, like getting a hit while getting the drain in while also fueling my unbury. But like nothing super weird has happened this game. But I can talk a lot about what's the cards that are left in my deck and the cards that I know about from their deck. Because game 1, again, as I said, almost went down to decking. To be fair, part of it is because I am a like elves deck with a lot of self mill and control the Tristan for several turns, and in fact almost the entire game for game 1. But also like I saw a decent amount of their deck. So like I said, I'm an elves deck. I have a bunch of self mill stuff. I don't. My most impressive payoffs for elves specifically is probably this Morkant's Eyes that I have. But other than that, I just have like solid creatures here and there. 2 copies of Pitiless Fists. which is really nice for swinging races. I only have the one Eulogist that is already in play, but I have 2 copies of Unbury, which makes my deck like very grindy. I also have a Lewin, which helps with like with late game grinding and such, and I have the aforementioned Tristan. So important cards that I saw in game 1 from them. They, in game 1, I believe they had an Ashling's Command in hand for a long time, and I enacted a plan in which I baited them into using the Ashling's Command right after I popped Morkensize, which sounds like a weird thing to bait them with because, you know, that's obviously a really good trade for them. But I leveraged that to set up, I held off on popping Morkensize so that they would hold off on using their Ashling's Command so that I could set up, like, draining them out of the game and, like, killing them with a combination of Dawnhand, Eulogist, and Tristan. So,
that's pretty nice.
Notably, I know they have an Ashling's Command. They cast it in game 1. That's a very, very important card. Obviously, it could be one of their 2 cards that they have in hand right now. Other than that, though, I didn't see that much interaction. I saw the one Blossom Bind. They put it on my Tristan at some point, and then I also saw a Seer, which they used to then kill my Tristan to try to prevent me from draining them, but I had the Eulogist. So the only removal spells I know about from them are Ashling's Command, kind of as like a pseudo board wipe, Blossom Bind, and Seer, and I saw like half of their deck maybe.
And so we've seen the Blossom Bind already in this game. We haven't seen the command. It's totally possible they have it in hand.
No.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but doing the math, I believe if we don't block here, the command also kills us, even though it technically doesn't get the Basher out of the way because it gives a 3-power creature flying, and then they could attack us with 3 from the original Stratosaur.
If you're talking about the line where we don't block, if we just like flash and
they have to chump with strat. Right. So they cannot copy it and attack us for lethal. So this line, this more aggressive line, does actually win the game if their hand is like Ashling's Command and spell that is not as good as Ashling's Command, which most aren't. So that is a positive of it.
It's not obvious that it fully wins the game, right? Like, they can still like copy their 3/4 and kill our 2-power creatures. It's like the game will go on, but it's not. But it's unlikely that they will like be able to attack us for lethal that turn, and they'll be at a lower life total than we are. Where
we'll be able to get back our Dawnhand Eulogist and drain them, etc. Like it's certainly like better for us than removal spell on the 6/6 by like a large margin.
Yeah. The Ashling's Command won't be a removal spell on the 6/6.
Yeah.
Certainly in that line.
Okay. So, all of this being said, it's kind of still a toss-up for me. Like, it's really close. I mean, if we saw almost half of their deck, and we saw 2 removal spells, one of which wouldn't actually kill the 6/6 on the crucial turn, the other one we've already seen this game, it's pretty possible they have more removal in their deck. I mean, half their deck is not their full deck by any means. And it's pretty scary to die to removal spell when they've demonstrated they have 2 spells in hand already.
So another important thing to think about is not just like, oh, we die to removal, but we die to what specific set of removal, right? Like we said, Seer doesn't do it. Like I've seen Seer doesn't do it. Feed the Flames also doesn't do it. That only deals 5, right? The 4-mana instant. I think that only deals 5.
Do either of those do enough where they could attack us with a certain subset of creatures and then kill our 6/6 after blocks and then still have enough back to survive? I don't think so, right? Because they're at 3. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, like they could like attack with one creature, we chump it, and then we like eat it, and then they like feed the Flames our 6/6, and I think they would still die, but because like we would have a 3/3 and 2 menace and 2 2/2s, and they have to block both the 3/3 menace and another creature, so they would have to have 3 creatures. So no, if like teaming up Feed the Flames plus a creature against our 6/6 doesn't really solve their problems there.
Yeah.
And of course, it definitely doesn't kill us. In terms of removal that kills us, it's just like another Blossom Bind The
Temporal
3/2
Cleansing.
mana war creature.
That one, yep.
To bounce our thing. Rhyme Chill. I guess
Swat
technically
Away.
Glamour might also, and Run Away together. But if they need to have like another like cheap creature to pair with Run Away together, because they can't like pick up their own creature and still have lethal, right?
Yeah. But there's also Swat Away and Temporal Cleansing as well, which are pretty commonly played blue spells. Yeah. But we didn't see any in game 1.
We did not see any of those in game 1. There's also some like rare cards or something.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more that we're not saying, but those are like the main ones.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like basically the blue removal, not the red removal, kills us roughly.
Yeah.
There's Goat now. I don't think we should be worrying about that.
I don't know if I want to consider that one. I don't think they're bringing that one in.
I agree.
But yeah, so that's about the range of removal that kills us. Another one, like, and you know, I don't know of a super organized way to go about this. I'm mostly just listing pros and cons to each each line, because like you said, it's kind of a toss-up. It's kind of just the simple decision of like which one of these lines you think is better, and like it's hard to get at that at anything else other than just like listing what you think the pros and cons of each are, right?
Yeah.
One thing I want to highlight is when you're thinking about the lines where, okay, if the thing you're most scared about, if you've decided like, okay, in this take 8 no blocks line, the thing I'm most scared about is removal spell on my 6/6. Then I think it's very important to consider when you're considering the other line, is it still bad for you if they have removal spell for your 6/6?
Yes.
Right? Like, because if the whole point of you, like, double blocking and trading for their 3/4 is to play around removal spell on your 6/6, then it's not a very good line if it still doesn't play around removal spell on your 6/6, right?
Right. The classic, like, if you can't beat it, then you assume they don't have it, which might change your play. Yeah, I think, like, we should actually think through that, right? Because let's say we do double block. Then our 3/3 dies. We have 2/2/1 or 2/2 power creatures. We play the Prisma Basher. We get in with both for 10. Let's say they don't block, so they go to 4. Then they untap. They've got basically 3/5, 3/2, and 2/2, and removal spell for 6/6. What do?
Yes.
They remove 6/6. They probably attack with like. We're at 11. They probably attack with like 3/2 and 2/2, put us to 6, leave back 3/5, and then maybe play out their last spell if it's cheap.
So, okay, I don't think they would attack with 3/2 and 2/2, leaving back only one blocker, because notably we'd have 2 2-power creatures, unless they have another spell, but like, we'd have 2 2-power creatures, and we've shown them in game 1, like they saw our entire deck.
So they saw the
unberries. 2 unberries
okay.
for this 3/3 that's in our graveyard. They probably don't want to risk going to 2.
Yeah.
I would assume that they're just attacking us with either the 2/2 or the 3/2 in that case. And then like the game goes to a like long protracted situation where like we have this like basically we'll have this unbury to like recoup resources and like maybe attack their life total given that they're low.
But if they ever become stable enough, they have some pseudo unblockable attackers, and we're only at 11, so we going to 9 maybe off the 2/2 attack. So like they kind of have a way to close the game with evasion in like a single turn cycle if they can stabilize long enough to implement that plan. That's the drawback of going for this longer game. I would say that I would be worried about.
I don't think their stabilization is that good. I will say because like let's say they attack with their 2/2 and leave back their 3/2 and their 3/5. Next turn we can just go like send both creatures. They have to trade for one of them, like eat one of them, and then we get to unbury back our like let's say they like blossom binded our 6/6, so we can't unbury that. But we get to unbury back our 3/3 that'll drain them for 2 again, putting them to 2, plus like an Eclipse
Stealth. Menace attacker also,
which is like a pretty nice situation for us. We now have a 3/3 menace. They can't attack with that many things. Their clock isn't that fast, right?
And we're back to 11. Honestly, maybe like I agree. That's a pretty good spot for us.
Yeah, that's in fact I think a pretty favorable spot if what they have is just like removal spell for 6/6.
So we probably can beat that, or at least it's like reasonably possible that we could beat that. So it does make sense maybe to play around.
Yeah, like I think like if we suspect that their hand is just something that cleanly removes our 6/6, like I do think that like uh, that doing the double block meaningfully represents like we're pretty favored in that game if that's what their hand is. Um, the of course the boogeyman in the room is what if their hand is Ashling's command,
Yeah.
right? Like how bad is it for us
To try
if
to
we take
prolong
the
the game
trade line?
into an Ashlings. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's think through it, right? We trade, we have 2-1 and 2-2 on board, we play Prisma Basher, we attack for 10. They say, sure, buddy, I'll take that. They go to 4, then they untap. They can cast command, kill our 2 creatures, copy their 3/5, and maybe just leave back a bunch of high toughness blockers to like triple block our 6/6 and get in for 2 or something. That seems like the most realistic.
Leave back 2, 3, like they can just leave back 2, 3.
Because then if we remove one, they chump it and then they attack us back for lethal. Yeah.
I guess it's like not fully lethal, but yeah, it's a little interesting exactly what they do. But overall, I'm not convinced that's a good situation for us.
Yeah. I mean, in general, prolonging the game into an Ashling's command seems bad. That amount of intuition. Yeah.
The fact that they can just leave us with just a 6/6 in play against their like pretty large board and while attacking us for 5 that's not my like favorite vibes.
Agreed. Agreed. But notably, right, like the line we chose to just not block and make the game end pretty quickly either way. Remind me where we got to. I don't think that meaningfully beat Ashling's command either, right?
No. So what happens if we do the other line is we put them to 3 with both 2 power creatures, the 3/3 menace, and our 6/6. And what Ashling's command does is it kills our 2 power creatures
and copies
like
a 3/4
of their thing.
Yeah.
But they're still at 3, so they still have to like double block our 3/3 and put a lot of toughness in front of our 6/6.
Which they can do, right? They'll have 3/2, 2/2, 3/4, and like copied 3/4, let's say. Right? They can go block 2 toughness creatures on the 3/3 and 2 3 power 4 toughness creatures on the 6/6, and like those are clean blocks for them. We don't actually have ways to remove their blockers. We can recur the 3/3 after that happens, but I think we're still probably falling behind there, right? I don't think this line meaningfully beats Ashling's command, given that we don't actually have a way to remove a blocker in our hand or like a realistic out to one, probably. It's tough to say. It's certainly like more competitive into it than the like extend the game line, but it's not obviously going to beat it still.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So I think where I'm leaning here is I don't think we should assume that they have Ashling's command. I think then the real question is, do we believe that one of their 2 spells is a clean removal or answer answer for return for the 6/6? And I think because we're like falling slightly behind on board, given that they just have like a lot of creatures. We're going to play our 3rd creature, or I guess technically our 4th if we make the no blocks line. But like, to me, it does not seem like we are winning this game if it goes a little bit longer. I want to be more aggressive here. I want to like maximize our Prisma Basher, and basically just say you need to have it immediately. That's my instinct. Where did you lean? What did you actually do in the situation?
I thought about it for a long time. I thought about the fact that my opponent like went through like half or like more than half of their deck and did not produce anything that looked like it would answer the Prisma Basher in this spot. And I said no blocks. I basically I came to the same conclusion of like, I am not sure that we are as favored in the late game. Like, we have this unbury, but the unbury is like not, it's not like providing infinite late game value, and it works best the more our opponent's life total is under threat.
Certainly.
And like, basically my thought was, if my opponent doesn't just extremely immediately, like on the next turn, have a removal spell for this 6/6, then like then like it's much better for us to have made this attack, because like specifically I really like having this 3/3 menace still in play, because it forces them to like trade more resources into it, and before we like buy it back and
it
trade
makes
them
our
again.
unbury better. Yeah. I think
So
that's where I lean. It's a legitimately incredibly close spot though. Like it truly is kind of a toss up. So it was a good one to pick. What actually happened?
I will say one thing I forgot to point out, but I feel like it would be negligence not to. There is one more removal spell that kills us if we take the no blocks Prisma Basher line, which is if they have Tweeze, they can burn us in the face for lethal. But but I also did not see any of this. So
fair. Okay. I think this is long enough for this one spot, but what actually happened in the game? The people want to know.
I mean, I said no blocks. I flashed my 2/2. I played my 6/6. They chumped. They untapped, looked at their hand, attacked me with nothing, and I won easily.
Nice. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
That's the advantage of like playing this really long game one, where you actually see most of their deck. You get to make plays like this sometimes and just say, I don't think you have it. I saw most of your deck.
Again, I'm legitimately not sure which play is correct.
I agree.
You could very much convince me that it was better to be a little more conservative, but I was feeling lucky. I did 3 out of the draft.
Nice. Love it. All right, cool. Well, that will be the end of this episode. We're going to record some more Lorwyn stuff for you guys over the next couple weeks. And yeah, in the meantime, keep making good plays.
And go subscribe to Brian's Patreon.
I keep forgetting to do the plug at the end. It feels repetitive if we do it every single week, but I guess that is the point. All right. See you guys next time.